this is Megan with Little Gray Squirrel, and today I'm going to show you how to work with digital papers and seamless patterns in Silhouette Studio. So I was getting ready to print some more 12 by 12 inch borderless cardstock papers with my new printer. I'll put a link to the video where I was setting that up in the description below, and then also any other links for this video. I thought this would be a good time to go over how to use digital papers and seamless patterns in Silhouette Studio, show 3 ways to fill a shape with a pattern, and then just a quick overview on how to use some of these in your projects. Okay, so first, Creative Fabrica is a great place to get digital products of all kinds, fonts, graphics, cut files, and if you go to the free section, I'll put a link to that also in the description below, you can pick up some free seamless patterns and digital papers to try out yourself. So a little bit about these. There is a difference between a seamless pattern and a digital paper. The seamless pattern, when you scale it, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute, it'll maintain the quality of the image. If it's a digital paper, then if you make it larger, it'll be okay, but if you make it smaller, then it'll show like tiles of the image, and it just doesn't look very good. So keep that in mind when you purchase them. So here's one that I already have. This is a paper set, digital papers, and I'll show you how that one works here in just a minute. To download these, it's just like downloading any images. You just select it, you'll download it, the file will show up in your downloads folder, and then these are just PNG images. So you just open them up and you would use them like you would any type of image. Sometimes they'll also have JPEGs or PDFs. You can open JPEGs and PNGs in any of the software editions. You would need an upgraded version to open PDFs. So today I'm working in the standard or basic edition, the free one of Silhouette Studio, and then I'm currently on version 4.4.945. There's 3 ways that I know of that you can add a digital pattern to a shape. So the 3 different ways to fill a shape with a pattern is in the fill panel. You can select your shape or your text and choose the pattern and it will fill it. Or you can have your file folder open with your pattern and you can drag the pattern to your shape, or you can have a shape already filled. You can place your design over it, select both, object, modify, and crop. And when you crop text, it will separate it. So it will no longer be text. So if you ever want to do that, I highly recommend making a duplicate, just like I had here, of the original text. So 3 ways: fill from the fill panel, drag in, and crop. So the first one is supposed to only work in Designer Edition or above. Mine works in the basic version. So I don't know if that's because I've had Designer Edition or above before and I've already added patterns, or if it just actually works on basic, but you can try it. So you open the library. I clicked on the little library tab here, or you can open the library up here, and then I have all my files. If you click on patterns and then you have your file, so like if this is one of the designs that I downloaded, you want to extract the zipped folder and then open the folder that it's in, and then you just grab whichever one you want and drag it into the patterns, and then it will show up in your pattern folder in your library. And then I'm going to go ahead and close this, and then if you open the fill panel and you choose the pattern tab and you scroll down to the bottom, that's where all of your patterns will be. So if that doesn't work, it is only supposed to be for Designer Edition above, and that's okay. I'll show you other ways to do it. So the next way to use a pattern, if you don't have that, or if you don't want to add patterns to your library, is to just create a shape. So here's a rectangle, and I'm going to close this. And then here again is the folders of the patterns that I want to use, and I'll just pick one and drag it to that shape. And then now it's inside this shape. Here's another example. So I'm going to duplicate this. So this is just a word that I typed out, just a nice block text, and it's Aharoni is the name of the font. So I can also fill this. So I'm going to use this one here and just drag it to the text. And now that one's filled with color. If you want to choose where you want to have the parts of the design, then you can fill a box with the pattern, and then you can type out your text or draw your shape. Let's see, I'll use this shape here. I'll duplicate it. And then I'll place it on, maybe I want like mostly teal, or if I want mostly green and blue. And I'll just select these two, and I'll go up to Object, Modify, and Crop. And now I have this shape filled with just the part of the pattern that I want. Now let's talk about the difference between using digital papers and seamless patterns. So I'm going to move over here, and I'm going to draw a 12-inch by 12-inch square. And then this is just because this is the size that I wanted to print out for my cardstock that I want to make my own scrapbook paper. And I'm going to open my fill and go to the pattern. And I'm actually going to duplicate this. So I have two so I can show the difference. So the first one I'm going to fill with this pattern. And then the second one I'm going to fill with, see, the strawberry pattern. And then I had mentioned this one is a seamless pattern. That was what it was advertised as and created as. And this one is a digital paper. So now let's talk about using these tools over here so that we can make it look exactly how we want it. So if you were printing out this page and then you were going to be cutting out small like tags, you might want the design to be a little smaller so that it showed up on all of the tags instead of having empty spaces or parts of words. So to do that, you select it, and then you can change the scale. So we can make it larger if you want bigger flowers and bigger text, or you can make it smaller, and that makes it repeat more till it's really small. So here's a really nice small pattern for cutting out smaller pieces. Now if we wanted to try to do that with the digital paper, see, right now it's at 100%, and we can increase it, which makes the strawberries larger. But if we go less than 100%, we're going to start seeing the tiles. So you can see the line here, and I'll zoom in. And you can see a white line in between here, and then you can see where the strawberries actually cut off, because this one isn't meant to be scaled smaller than 100%. So that's the big difference between seamless patterns and digital papers. Now we can also still use these other tools on both of these. So the next tools here are the aspect ratio. So this one, it's going to maintain the ratio of the design no matter what size you make it. So for example, I'll select this one, and we have maintain aspect ratio. So if I drag the corner, it would just make it larger and smaller, just like normal. But if I grab this side and I want to make it maybe like a 14-inch rectangle by 12 inches, then as I do that, it's going to keep the image looking nice. If I selected to stretch the aspect ratio, as I make this wider, it just stretches the image. So that's aspect ratio. Mirror pattern is kind of as it sounds. It's just going to flip the image, just as if we were right-clicking and flipping horizontally or flipping vertically. And then we already discussed scale. And then pan pattern, this is where you can select it and it'll open this little icon here. And if you click on it, then you can move the design around to get it to look how you want. So again, if you have a digital paper, you might have the line where it doesn't repeat. But if you have a digital pattern, like this one, I'll make this more square. And I'm going to enlarge the image, the scale, just so you can see it better. So maybe I was making a page for a scrapbook, and I knew I wanted to put some pictures here, maybe some pictures here, but I wanted this, the text to show, or I wanted particular flowers to show. I can turn on pan pattern. I can click on this little plus, and I can move it around. So maybe I want it to say love down in the corner. I can see the envelope, or I can select that again, and I can move it all around. And because this is a seamless pattern, I can keep moving it any direction as far as I want, and it will just keep repeating, but it'll be a nice seamless pattern. Okay, next is the rotate pattern. So this will just change the direction that the pattern's facing. And then finally the angle. We can rotate the image, whereas this does it in 90 degrees. We can be more specific as to how many, how we want it rotated. And with the floral pattern, it might be a little more difficult if we wanted to change it to stripes or buffalo check. See, this one is the scale. This one is not a repeating pattern. I'm going to reset these so I can select here, change this back to 100, and I'll highlight this and change that to 0, and then I can pan the pattern back to center. So now if I want to select it and change the angle, I can rotate it any direction that I want. Okay, so that's the overview of how to use digital papers and seamless patterns. And then now I'll just show a few different ways that you can use it. So I have full pages, so you could always print a full page and then cut out just like you would use a pattern paper. You can draw shapes. So this is one I drew as like a little bookmark. And then if you ever want to get rid of the pattern and change it back, you can just select it and then go up here to the transparent, or also in the pattern fill, you just scroll up to the top and choose transparent. So if I had printed out this page and I wanted to cut a full page of bookmarks, I could do that just like that. Or if I wanted them all to look the same, or if I wanted to be more particular about how it looked, I can select the item, go down to my pattern, and then fill it. And then this one, maybe I want it to look a little bit different. I can scale it, so make it larger. I can make it smaller. And again, this one isn't a seamless pattern. I could zoom in, select another one. Maybe change the angle. Maybe I want a little more of the blue up there. And then you would just do print and cut. You can crop your patterns into your text and then add those to your projects. So this is a good example of the scale and when you would want to adjust that. So I'm just going to zoom in here. And so the strawberries are pretty small in the flowers, and that's fine. It's very even. We'll select it first. You can change the angle a little bit, and then you can increase the scale so that it looks a little bit larger. You can make borders and frames. So here's just an oval. I'm going to draw a rectangle. I'll select both of these and center them. And then I'll right click and make compound path. And so now I have this shape and I can fill it with a pattern. And so now I can print this out and cut it out. And I have a border that I can put around like on a scrapbook, or I could cut it out of a magnet and use it as a frame on the fridge. Or I could use it as a card. So let's change this white. I'll delete that. And this is extremely simplified, but you could print out this and cut it. You could add some text here. And then when you fold it in half, you just have a basic card with a pretty pattern on it. So there's unlimited ways to use digital papers and seamless patterns. You could also just save this as a transparent PNG and open it up and then use it as a digital scrapbooking or digital designs. You can make stickers. You can cut out tags, gift tags, labels. The possibilities are endless. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed and picked up a few tips in using digital patterns in your silhouette. Let me know in the comments, have you used patterns before? Is this something you've been scared to try or something that you love to do?